Just take a minute. Look around you. There's history being made. Has been. Will be. How can there not? Just something about those blue skies, high banks, and high speed, all coming together in one perfect race. And it'll be here sooner than you think.
Roll Tide and welcome to this Tuesday edition of Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR. Hello again, everybody. I'm Roger Hoover. Glad to welcome you back to our studios as we start to go through this show as we kickstart the third Tuesday in October. Of course, we're getting ready for the third Saturday in October, coming up on Saturday, of course, between Alabama and Tennessee. But we're going to have a really fun show coming up today, looking back at the win against Texas A&M and starting to look forward to Saturday's tilt in Knoxville. We'll go through everything on our smartboard today. Thanks to our friends at RJ Young. They're the official technology solutions provider of Crimson Drive, and they've given us the smart board to go through all of our different headlines for today, starting with what's ahead on the show. And I mentioned we'll look back to the win against Texas A&M. The booth cam highlights from the A&M game, a must-see, especially that last play. I know 60,000 of you have already seen it on Twitter and more on Facebook and YouTube, but you got to see some of the other huge moments from the A&M game. Then we'll hear from the head coach of the Crimson Tide, Nick Saban, as he met with the media yesterday. We'll have coach's checklist. Also, a one-on-one conversation with Alabama left tackle Tyler Steen, who continues to play at a very high level as the offensive line keeps getting better and better throughout the season. Speaking of student athletes for Alabama, Amaris Tyynismaa is one of the standouts for the Alabama cross-country team. They're getting ready to host a meet in Tuscaloosa coming up later this week. And then also, the game week sponsor this week is Visit Pensacola for the Alabama and Tennessee game. We hear from their CEO Darien Schafer about how to experience Pensacola, and maybe even when the Tide's on the road, say, like this week against Tennessee, if you're not going to Knoxville the game, go down to the beach, have some fun in Pensacola. And then we'll have Be Kind Crimson Tide Rewind, looking back at some of the best moments from last night's edition of Crimson Tide Rewind from Baumhauer's Victory Grill in Vestavia Hills. Look back at some of the other headlines. Let's go first to football, as the Alabama football team is now a perfect 6-0 on the season, getting a 24-20 win against Texas A&M. A really fun night at Bryant-Denny Stadium. Now this week, getting to go to Neyland Stadium for a ranked matchup against Tennessee. A top 10 matchup as Alabama, still number 1 in one poll, dipped down to number 3 in another. Tennessee is currently ranked 6th in the country. And again, it will be a 2:30 start time. The game will be televised on CBS, and our radio coverage will start at 11:30 Central across the network. Great rivalry, of course, between Alabama and Tennessee, but this is the first time these teams have entered this meeting undefeated since back in 1989. So it's been a while since this game had the kind of juice that it has, even with Alabama winning the last 15 games over the Vols in a row. Also, yesterday we found out that the next home game at Bryant-Denny Stadium on Saturday, October 22nd, next week, it'll be Alabama and Mississippi State. 6 p.m. kickoff, radio coverage at 3. Once again, we look forward to being under the lights at Bryant-Denny Stadium. How about the Crimson Tide soccer team continuing to win, and those 2 matches last weekend outscoring the competition 9-1. A home win against Ole Miss, and then a real great performance on Sunday against LSU 5-0. Now the Crimson Tide keep climbing in the polls, number 3 in the nation, and just with the way everything is set up for this season, if they continue on this pace, not only could you be looking at an SEC championship for the Crimson Tide in the regular season and being the number 1 seed for the SEC tournament, you could possibly see Alabama be a number 1 seed for the NCAA tournament. If the season were to end today, they would be. So incredible work done by head coach Wes Hart. There is no midweek game coming up this week for Alabama soccer. Crimson Tide will be home against Arkansas at 11 a.m. coming up this Sunday in Tuscaloosa. Of course, you want a huge crowd there. The match will be televised on the SEC network. Arkansas has won the last 3 SEC regular season championships, so a huge game coming up on Sunday. Some final notes around Crimson Tide athletics. The volleyball team will be coming up at home this week against Missouri on Wednesday at 6 p.m. and then Friday against Alabama State. So we look forward to being back in Foster Auditorium for those matches. Cross-country team, as I mentioned, will be hosting the Crimson Classic. We'll have more on that with Amaris Tyynismaa coming up in just a few moments. And then softball on Wednesday night. That'll be the Sand Mountain Showdown, rescheduled from the spring against Jacksonville State. We're looking forward to being in Albertville, Alabama for the Crimson Tide against the Jacksonville State Gamecocks at that beautiful facility. The Sand Mountain Showdown is finally here as Coach Murphy's team continues fall softball. Crimson Tide continuing to pick up wins on the gridiron, and that was the case on Saturday against Texas A&M. We had a lot of fun. It was very stressful in the booth. You're going to see all the booth cam highlights from the A&M win next.
Our weather, absolutely perfect. It is in the upper 60s, not a cloud to be found. The ball is in the air, and we are underway from Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Snap goes to Milroe, running right. Tons of green grass, 30, 25, 20, goes to the left side, 15, runs out of bounds wisely at the 12, took what was there, and then got out of the way, getting inside the 15-yard line, a gain of 35 on the play for the Crimson Tide.
Same concept for Bill O'Brien. Once again, max protect, two guys out of the route, let's try to throw it deep. Well, it was man coverage once again, and Milroe sees it. Nobody's there. It's not open, and he can cut it back and get going, getting Alabama inside the red zone.
Left side of him will be Gibbs. Looking, throwing. It is caught. Touchdown, Alabama. Jalen Milroe to Cameron Latu, and now you've got a flag down in the backfield. It's after the fact, likely to be a dead ball penalty, but a 10-yard touchdown strike to Cameron Latu, and boy, the quarterback, Jalen Milroe, looked very poised right there.
Poised and confident. Third down inside the red zone and throws a strike to Latu. Thread the needle, really, between two different A&M linebacker and safety, trying to get the ball down, but throws it low where only Latu could catch it for securing the touchdown.
He'll get the snap. He'll look and swing it out to A-Chain. He'll be wrapped up. Brian Branch, a great play for a loss on the play.
A&M trying to set up the screen to the left. One-on-one, man-to-man blocking against Brian Branch, and he just blows right through it.
He will get the snap. He'll get flush in the pocket. He's being chased. He's stripped up. He'll go down. Great play, the second sack of the game. Dallas Turner.
I'm really liking this Cheetah pack because they have a lot of speed on the field, as you saw right there.
I got it. Cheetah caught my throat right there. Latu comes in motion all the way to the right side. Handoff goes again to Gibbs, waiting to read the hole and finds it. 40, 45, one man to beat, midfield and beyond. Gets down near the 30-yard line before being bumped out of bounds. Milroe looking across the middle. Catch made. Burton breaks the tackle. 20, 15, 10, 5. Touchdown, Alabama. 35 yards. Milroe finds Burton. Broke the tackle. Found pay dirt. And Bama leads it again.
Right there, Jermaine Burton, his third touchdown catch of the season, and just a slant. Perfect timing for Milroe. As soon as he breaks, Burton gets out of his cut. The ball is right there, and then breaks the tackle. Yards after catch right there for the touchdown. Gets some receivers involved there to score some touchdowns.
Bryce Young, the first man to greet Jalen Milroe before he got anywhere near the Alabama sideline.
It's a cheetah package again from Alabama. Only one defensive lineman in the game.
See if the Cheetahs can eat right here. King looking, blitz coming, being chased, throws, it is intercepted. Arnold the pick, 40. Arnold down the sideline, left side, backed out of bounds at the 30, and there's the takeaway for Alabama. The Tide will have it with 38 seconds remaining in the first half. The Aggies roll the dice, and Alabama with a chance for the payoff. The snap, the spot, the kick is up, plenty of leg. This one is perfect, and Alabama extends its lead, or gets the lead back, I should say, 17-14 with 12 seconds remaining in the half. From the 29, Milroe looking, third and long, swings it out, catch made. Brooks, 20, 15, 10, 5, touchdown to Corey Brooks, finding the house, 29 yards. Milroe dumped it off, Brooks took it the rest of the way, and Alabama extends its lead now to 23-14.
And there we go, Milroe getting into the offense right there, going through his read. We've seen this play on third down so many times when Bryce Young in the game. It's crossing routes, so everybody's bunched up and tight, two to the right, two to the left. Alabama's going to go a simple drag right from the route, from the right side to Brooks. First read was to Gibbs in the flat, and he finds Brooks streaking across the middle.
Great job, Jace McClellan, shield blocking downfield, but not clipping, as the extra point from Reichert is up and good. Bama fans on their feet, making all the noise they can with a lot of nausea, running through the place as well. Final play of the game, 3 seconds left. Aggies at the Alabama 2. 4-point Bama lead, and we're trying to keep it that way. King gets a snap. Time, throws, it is incomplete. Zeros on the clock. Ball game, no flags. Alabama wins. Let's get out of here. They don't ask you how. They simply ask you how many. And this is a big one for the Crimson Tide as Alabama holds off the fighting Texas Aggies. 24-20 is your final. Whoo, mercy.
Crimson Drive is driven by NASCAR, and NASCAR is kicking off the 2023 regular season with the Daytona 500. Don't miss the opportunity to experience history as the drivers battle it out in the 65th running of the Daytona 500. Purchase your tickets today at DaytonaInternationalSuperspeedway.com and get ready to experience the biggest race of the year. Certainly was a big win for the Crimson Tide as we enjoyed all the booth camp highlights. And again, you can join in on that fun live throughout each and every Alabama football game this season here on our social media outlets. We'd love to have you join us for the booth camp presented by Royal Furniture. Everybody was able to take a deep breath after the win against Texas A&M, including the head coach of the Crimson Tide, Nick Saban, as he met with the media on Monday, recapping the Texas A&M game, plus looking ahead to what's coming up this week.
I think it's fairly obvious that there's a lot of things that we need to work on, evaluate personnel, evaluate consistency and performance, evaluate priority of getting your job done the right way, so that we can have a little more consistency in our performance. We didn't take advantage of opportunities when we had them in the last game, and that's certainly something that's going to catch up with you. Players have to understand you got to do things to keep from losing before you can think about winning, which is, turning the ball over, making mental errors, not reading things correctly so that we can execute plays the way they're designed. And that's something that we, as a whole, as an organization, need to do a better job of working together with the players and the coaches so that we can do a better job of getting that right. We're going to play a really good Tennessee team. This game means a lot to a lot of people in Alabama. It's kind of a rivalry game, and it's always been an important game for us. Tennessee's got an outstanding team. They're undefeated. Josh has done a really, really good job there. Probably one of the most explosive offenses, if not the most explosive offense in the country. They've got really good wide receivers. 4 guys have lots of production. They've got 2 really good running backs, lots of production. The quarterback, Hooker is, really done a nice job of executing their offense. He's one of the leading pass efficiency guys in the country, as well as has the ability to extend plays and make plays with his feet. He's a very good athlete all the way around, and has had an outstanding year. Their defense is, one of the top defensive teams, especially in terms of creating negative plays and making people difficult for them to score. 17 points a game is, really good and one of the tops in the SEC. And they're always really solid with their specialists and on special teams. So this is a really, really good team, a real challenge for us. And our priority has to be, we got to get it right ourselves, and so that we do a better job of putting ourselves in positions of having a chance to be successful. And when we do that, we got to take advantage of it. Bryce is getting reevaluated today. I don't really know much. I hadn't talked to Doc, since he did that. Hopefully, we're going to try to get him ready to play this week. But this is something that nobody can predict. How quickly this is going to give him an opportunity to be able to go out and do what he needs to do. And we'll see as the week progresses. But I don't have an update much more than that.
Good to hear from the head coach of the Crimson Tide, Nick Saban. Will also carry his comments coming up on Thursday's edition of Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR, as he'll meet with the media following Wednesday's practice as Alabama gets ready for Tennessee. All throughout the season here on Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR, we will have one-on-one conversations with Crimson Tide football players and 2 really great players coming up on tap this week, as we had a conversation with Tyler Steen. He's been Alabama's starting left tackle all throughout the season after he transferred to the Capstone from Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt, a very good career there. Now he's playing well for the Crimson Tide, and he joins us this week on Crimson Drive, driven by... Tyler, first of all, let's take a look back to the Texas A&M game. What are you proud about the offensive line's performance in that win?
And I'm really proud about how we ran the ball. I thought we showed a little more consistency, both in the run game and the pass game. Obviously, we got things to work on and stuff like that, continuity and making sure we communicate the right way, but I thought we did pretty good.
We're also really proud of the effort at Arkansas, specifically when Jalen Miller came in and a lot of things happened in the run game.
Yeah, obviously it's tough when somebody goes down, but yeah, I'm proud of the way, we ran the ball. We had a lot of explosive runs and stuff like that, just staying on blocks longer and stuff like that. So, I'm really proud of having ran the ball at Arkansas, too. What's
running through your mind when you're seeing those 70-plus yard runs like we saw from Jalen and Jameer?
Yeah, it's just a rush of excitement. You see him running and nobody's going to catch him and you just running down the field. It's really exciting, when you have plays like that. It's just, you just got to take it all in, enjoy it.
So Jalen Miller was a quarterback all game long against Texas A&M. How did he step up as a leader throughout the week and then on Saturday in the game?
And Jalen was really positive throughout the week. He came in, you saw he was putting a lot of preparation in throughout the week, getting himself ready to play, and really helping us and communicating with the O-line and stuff like that, making sure he was vocal, the whole time and stuff like that. I thought he did a great job of doing that, communicating with us, showing that he had confidence in us, and we had confidence in him too. So it was good.
And then how about Bryce Young? Even if he wasn't playing, it looked like he was pretty active on the sidelines with you guys.
Yeah, Bryce is always going to stay vocal. He's always involved and stuff like that. He just made sure that keep us going and made sure that we were in good spirits and stuff like that. That's just who Bryce is. Regardless of what the situation is, that's what he's going to do. So.
Well, you played at Vanderbilt first. That was a rivalry game always with Tennessee. Now you're part of the Alabama-Tennessee rivalry. Just what have you learned about the Vols so far and what this game means?
I know it means a lot. Pretty much when I got here, I knew that, it was a big game. It's a huge rivalry. A lot of people take it very seriously. At the end of the day, we're looking forward to, accepting the challenge and playing them, and it's going to be really fun. So.
Tyler, we look forward to seeing you in Knoxville. Roll Tide.
All right, Roll Tide.
Just take a minute. Look around you. There's history being made. Has been, will be, and it'll be here sooner than you think.
Thanks to Tyler Steen for joining us. Coming up on Thursday's edition of Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR, we'll also have a one-on-one conversation with a former Tennessee Volunteer, Henry Toe. Toe has been with the Crimson Tide the past 2 seasons and has been leading this Alabama defense, so look forward to that coming up on Thursday. Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR. Next up, we're going to step away from football for just a moment and talk some Alabama cross country, as Dan Waters' team has been having a tremendous fall so far, and now they're gearing up for this Friday's Crimson Classic here in Tuscaloosa. First time in a long time that Alabama cross country has hosted a home meet. So with that, we wanted to talk to Crimson Tide senior Amaris Tyynismaa, who's put together a great career in the Crimson. She's a native of Montgomery, and she joins us this week on Crimson Drive, driven by... First of all, Amaris, Roll Tide. How's the season going so far?
It's going great. I'm excited for the future, and we're all having fun and working hard at practice with a common goal. Yeah.
Common goal, of course, winning for Alabama and all the success we've seen in recent years for cross country, track and field as well. Just what's the mindset of your team right now as you get ready for some really important races?
Well, we have our Crimson Classic on Friday, and we're going to be working on like team tactics and things that we can all improve on for SECs, regionals, and then the upcoming championship. And we're all just basically sticking your heads at practice down, like staying humble and working hard, and with consistency, you can do great things. And I think that's something that a lot of us understand. And so we're all just trying to stay consistent at practice.
And this is Alabama's first home cross-country meet since 2017. Just what does it mean to you to get to stay home for a weekend? And also, what can you tell us about the course we're going to see?
Yeah, so we're all really happy that it's our own home course. We don't have to travel. That's always like a big advantage. And our families are all going to be able to come out. It changes a lot for us. We're just looking forward to being in front of a home crowd with that type of energy. And we look forward to, like I say, working on some team tactics, improving on things, and having fun.
It's also the last regular season meet of the season. So what do you feel like you guys need to work on the most getting ready for the postseason?
I think, like I said before, just being consistent and looking at it as a process where everything we're doing now is um, targeting towards our main goal, which is the championship season. And so I think what we're doing right now is perfect. And like we're training for Oklahoma, that course, it's a very hilly course. And Coach Palmer and his wife are very good at, catering their training towards what we need to be successful.
How have you felt about some of your individual performances recently?
So I've only competed at Notre Dame, and I would give myself a B for that day. But as a team, we did phenomenal. But like I said, we all have things that we could still work on, and that's the amazing thing is that we still did really well up against NC State ranked number 1 and New Mexico number 2. I mean, they only beat us by 2 points. So things are looking really good, and there's just a few things that we need to tweak, and the future is looking bright. Yeah.
Definitely is. And you're one of the in-state products that's on this Alabama roster, originally from Montgomery. Did you always have Alabama on your mind as your college destination?
I definitely didn't. I was a military brat. My dad was in the Air Force for like 27 years. So, I've moved around. In high school, I kind of just was doing my high school thing. And when it came time to visit colleges, I just decided that Alabama was, going to be one of the places that I visited. And I'm still here.
Definitely are. What have you liked about the student athlete experience in Alabama?
There's a lot. There's a lot to offer. I feel like outside of actually sports, Alabama offers a lot of clubs that people can partake in. But I feel like just as an athlete, it's really nice getting to have a team that you can look forward to practicing with every single day, that build you up. I feel like, I'm a senior now, and I've grown a lot as a person since my freshman year. And so I think that's a beautiful part of being able to be part of a team, and I'm thankful for that.
We've talked about your cross-country career, but what can you tell us about your career in the classroom and maybe what you'd like to do once your running days are complete?
Majoring in communications and my minors in sports marketing. And I feel like those align with like some of my interests. And I'm really happy that I majored in communications. It actually used to be psychology, and I was interested in that. But then I was like, okay, I think that I want to change it to communications. And I'm happy I did, because all the classes that I'm taking, I feel like I'm, like I said, like growing as a person, learning how to better communicate. Communication comes in many different ways. And my minor of sports marketing, kind of aligns with my passion for, running and sports in general. So been very fortunate to learn a lot in the classroom, and yeah.
Well, we're thrilled for your success in the classroom, plus running for the Crimson Tide. Amaris, just thank you so much for joining us. Best of luck hosting the Crimson Classic this week. We'll be cheering you on. Roll Tide.
Thank you.
Best of luck to Amaris and the Crimson Tide cross-country team coming up on Friday morning with the Crimson Classic here in Tuscaloosa. Well, coming up in Pensacola, Florida, it's always going to be a beautiful weekend. That's one of the great things about one of our favorite travel destinations, Pensacola, and they are the presenting game sponsor this week on the Crimson Tide Sports Network for the Alabama and Tennessee game. Last year, we had a chance to host our pre- and post-game shows for the Mississippi State game, actually down by the beach from Pensacola. It was the best pre-game view I've had outside of being at a football stadium in forever. It was just a tremendous time down at Pensacola, and that's why this week we wanted to catch up with Darien Schafer. He's the CEO of Visit Pensacola, and here are some great reasons why maybe you, thinking about that next vacation, maybe you're not going to Knoxville this weekend, head on down to Pensacola. You'll find Pensacola is the game sponsor coming up this week for Alabama and Tennessee. And first of all, Darren, Roll Tide, it's great to see you again. How's everything going in Pensacola for you?
Roll Tide. Hey, it is going great in Pensacola. We have been having really a great year since the last time you were in town.
Yeah, we had a fun opportunity last year before the Mississippi State game, another road game for Alabama. We actually came there and did the pre and post game shows from Pensacola Beach. We got to see just how beautiful the water and the sand are in Pensacola, and that white sand. People can see it on the background behind me, but what makes that so unique to Pensacola and that area of the country?
Yeah, I mean it's amazing sand that you find on the Gulf and through the Panhandle. That's quartz sand, and it's truly special. I mean, you go to a lot of other places, and the walk to get from your chair to the water can be brutally painful, but not on the white sand of Pensacola.
And what makes Pensacola and also Perdido Key just so different from any other Gulf destination?
Well, I think something that we're particularly proud of is our history, our heritage, being America's first settlement, dating back to 1559. You really see have an authentic experience in Pensacola. So our downtown really is one of those things that sets us apart. You spend a day in downtown Pensacola, you feel that history in the architecture, in the food. I think the vibe in Pensacola is truly special. And again, I think that comes from our history and our heritage of being authentic and relaxed and an unscheduled type of day-to-day way of getting around town. And again, we're home to the Blue Angels, and that certainly is something that is a unique experience, and getting a chance to see them practice every week, Tuesday and Wednesdays, is something special. And of course, the two big shows they do for us in July and November.
We keep hearing that Pensacola is the way to beach. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, when we hear people talking about a beach experience, what we hear them describing is Pensacola. They think about the ability to relax and be stress-free and unscheduled. And those are the things that people associate with the Pensacola experience. So again, I talk about that vibe, and it's about being able to, we're not a pretentious community, which means you can be yourself. And the fact that getting to the beaches is part of easier part of the beach experience. So lots of access points, lots of free parking, and it can be everything from a beach experience to a downtown experience. We want to catch shows at night. All those kind of experiences are available in Pensacola.
People a lot of times talk about St. Augustine being such an old city on the other side of the state, but right here in the Gulf is Pensacola, which is also one of the oldest cities in the nation. What can you tell us about how it was first settled and some of the early history of Pensacola?
So Pensacola is America's first settlements, established in 1559. That was 6 years before St. Augustine. So we are proud of that. And we're also known as the City of Five Flags. So we've had French, Spanish, and British flags that have flown over Pensacola Bay. And, a great place to see that history is in downtown Pensacola. And something new, it's called America's First Settlement Trail, which is a 3-mile trail through most of downtown Pensacola. And what's great about it is an actual red line on the ground that you follow. And there are 20 locations that you scan a QR code, and it's on your phone, and you can learn about 75 different points of interest. I love it because it takes you past all kinds of food and drink establishments along the way, so you never get hungry, you never get thirsty as well.
Speaking of food, of course, you're right there on the beach. There is some tremendous seafood. I know I have some of my favorite spots in Pensacola and Pensacola Beach. Just what can you tell us about the food scene in Pensacola?
Yeah, I think that's again, when you're right on the Gulf, it's our backyard. It's something we're really proud of. And here you're not going to find just a bunch of chain restaurants, and we're okay with that. Many of our great chefs, our culinary experts, are folks that are either grown up in the kitchens of Pensacola restaurants or have come here to visit and then decided never to leave. So whether you're in flip-flops and a walk-up restaurant on the beach, or you're looking for fine dining, you won't be disappointed with the options in Pensacola.
So not only great food, but also music and art play a huge role in Pensacola being such a vibrant city.
Yeah, what I love about the Pensacola area is that finding live music is never a problem. And it seems like we have a festival going on every weekend. And so now is actually really a great time to visit Pensacola. We've got a good example of that is what we call the Foo Festival, which is 12 days of arts and entertainment that is from November 3rd through the 14th. That's a great time to come visit the Pensacola area and have something to do 2 big weekends and then throughout the week.
You mentioned the Foo Festival, of course, for Alabama, a very busy football season, of course, but there is an open date coming up on October 29th. That really is a perfect time for Tide fans to get an escape down to Pensacola Beach. And for fans that are thinking about making the trip, maybe from Tuscaloosa or the Birmingham area, all points of the state, what's the easiest way to plan a great vacation in Pensacola?
Well, like you said, that is actually this is the best time to come to the Pensacola. October and November. Really, the weather's great. It's a little less crowded than it is during the summer months. No humidity, so it is a great time to visit. And our website, visitpensacola.com, is absolutely the best way to look at a calendar of events, find lodging, other things, ideas to do. We have an app, Experience Pensacola, that you can download as well. And of course, we have all the social media channels, so you can talk to folks in the community to get an idea of what the locals like to do as well.
We look forward to it. Darien Schafer, the president and CEO of Visit Pensacola, thank you so much for joining us here on the Crimson Tide Sports Network. We can't wait until we're back in Pensacola once again to hang out with all of you guys and enjoy the beautiful white sand and the beaches. It is like nothing else. But just thank you so much for your time. Roll Tide.
All right. Thank you so much. Roll Tide. We'll see you on the beach.
Head to Pensacola. It is an outstanding destination to watch Crimson Tide football. You can mix in the beach in the morning and then watch the football game later in the day. It is just an outstanding place to be, and we really appreciate Darien Schafer and Visit Pensacola for sponsoring this week's game against Tennessee. Speaking of the Volunteers and what's coming up for the Crimson Tide, Alabama is a perfect 6-0 on the season, and last night on Crimson Tide Rewind at Baumhauer's Victory Grill in Vestavia Hills, Corey Reamer dropped by to talk about everything we saw against Texas A&M, plus what needs to happen this Saturday in order to get a win against Tennessee. Here's a segment we like to call Be Kind, Crimson. So the Crimson Tide get the win. It was close, 24-20, as you mentioned, Corey, but when the defense had to make a play at the end, they did.
Yeah, they did. I mean, this game was it was weird. It didn't feel like we were ever down or that we didn't have this game in hand. We were moving the ball well. We had some turnovers, some things that didn't go our way, but it didn't really feel like we were ever threatened. You know, had the lead most of the game, kept them in check. Texas A&M didn't have a ton of offensive production where it felt like they were just moving the ball at will. And then all of a sudden, you got Texas A&M with the ball on the final drive and a chance to win the ball game with 2 seconds left on the clock. I think everybody was kind of stunned. It definitely was not the outcome that we were expecting or that it felt like as the game was progressing. A lot of things to learn from this game. We were fortunate to get out of there and get a win, but a lot of highs and lows, a lot of anxiety tied into this game. It was we didn't know what to expect. We had a new quarterback that's coming in. Bryce is still on the sideline, and Jalen Miller comes in, gets his first start in a pretty big game. 7:00 kick in Bryant-Denny Stadium against a team that everybody that showed up for this game had circled from well before the season started. So the environment was great. I thought the fan base did a great job. They were loud in the stadium, and luckily for us, caused some issues for that Texas A&M offense late in the game. Found a way to get a win though, and that's the main thing. They're not always going to be pretty, and it's kind of been like a broken record this season so far. We've talked a lot about some of these games that have been a lot closer. I can't remember a time in the last 10 years that we've had so many games that have only been won by less than a touchdown and come down to the wire like they have this year. They're asking me after the comments that were made after the game that Bryce was trying to go in the ball game in the fourth quarter against Texas A&M. I think there's a pretty good shot that we're going to see him. It's just a matter of whether this week he progresses like he hopes to. And that he can go out there and make the plays. That's the main thing. There's not a question of will. That guy wants to play. He's a competitor. He wants to be on the field. He wants to go out there and play. This is a huge game, obviously, on the road against the top 10 opponent in Tennessee. And he wants to be out there, but he's also got to be smart, and the coaching staff has to be smart. Not to just put him in just because he wants to. It's if he can go out there and execute, can he make the throws? Can he run the offense that we need him to run? Is he going to give us the best ability, the best chance to win this ball game on Saturday? So there's still a lot of discussions whether outside of just his health, outside of just him being healthy, or his mindset is he wants to play. I know he's going to be working his tail off to try to get in there, but I have high hopes that he'll be there. 4 turnovers is going to be tough to beat, especially going into Knoxville. We can't have that same type of performance, and this is something that Jalen will learn from. I think his decision-making's got to be a little bit quicker. He's got to feel the pocket. I think he had the ball a little low. And I'm not a quarterback, so don't quote me on this, but you always see quarterback coaches and quarterbacks working on keeping the ball high. It's like in basketball. If you get a rebound, you don't want to take the ball down and then go back up for the shot. You got to keep it up high so those arms can't get in there and knock the ball loose.
And we'll keep talking about Tennessee as we keep going on this show, but their rushing defense is 11th best in the nation right now, only giving up 89 yards per game.
Yeah, that's going to be one of their strengths versus one of our weaknesses, and I think that's going to be an emphasis. And it might, we might try to avoid that altogether. Coach Saban's looking at the film, and all the coaches are looking at the film and seeing how successful they've been in shutting down the run. We're going to find creative ways to get, and we do that with screen passes, bubble passes, quick routes, like you said, quick slants. Just try to take some of this front out of the ball game as much as we possibly can. But you still got to run the ball. I mean, we're going to keep trying. We're going to find ways to do it, whether it's we might not be lining up in the eye and running power all the time. But Jahmyr Gibbs has done a phenomenal job of making his offensive line a lot better. He's setting blocks up really well, and I think he had 150-something yards of rushing this past game. And you look at the circumstance that he did it in with a defense that knew who was playing quarterback. He's not the guy that's going to be out there throwing it all over the place like Bryce Young. And they're loading the box. They got a couple extra guys. The safeties are playing aggressive and down to stop the run, and he still goes out there and puts 150 rushing yards up. So he's going to be relied on heavily.
From Steve Dean, who asked, "Hey, Corey, did you ever have any special moments from playing against Tennessee? Maybe a cigar celebration?" And we were talking in the break. You played from Rocky Stop to Rocky Block, so I imagine you got to celebrate a lot.
Yeah, unfortunately, was a part of the last team that did lose to Tennessee in that 45-year span, but. 2005 as a freshman was a pretty special game. Roman Harper coming up and popping the ball out and winning that ball game. Jamie Christensen making some clutch field goals for us in that game. That was a huge win for us. And then, and obviously 2009. You can't get top what we did in that 2009 game. Lane Kiffin's on the other sideline and end up getting 2. Terrence Cody gets a block at the very end. I tell you though. The clock was not at 0 when that was over with. There was still time on that clock. And I remember when it happened, Rolando and I were just somehow locked in eye to eye. It's like, where is the football? And because, there's an opportunity if we get a block that they can still pick it up and run it in. So we're just scrambling and the team's just storming the field looking, and we're just chasing through everybody trying to get on the football and kill the play. And the game's actually going to be over with. But cigars are always special, and not always expecting to be smoking cigars in the locker room when I was there. But that 2008 game at Neyland to win at their place was pretty special. There's always a lot of excitement around this game. You've seen as soon as Sunday hit, Tennessee Hate Week comes up. Rocky Colburn was my strength coach when I was there for a couple of years, and then Scott Cochran. But I'll never forget hating Rocky Top as much as I ever did because they literally played it through the entire athletic facility for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week until we kicked off. I mean, you literally heard Rocky Top for 7 straight days. If you were in the facility, it was playing everywhere, and it was the most annoying song in the world. But you'll never forget it because there are so many people. And, when I was growing up, Tennessee dominated this rivalry, and then all of a sudden it turns where we are right now. But this game meant a lot to a lot of people, like Coach Saban always says, especially people that were before my time when all they knew was winning. All I knew was losing to Tennessee when I was growing up. So this one's a special one. It's always circled. Everybody talks about the Iron Bowl, but this one is just right there underneath it.
Was it the marching band version or the bluegrass country version?
Oh, it was straight marching band. It was straight. You got everything. I think they would switch it up every once in a while, give you a few different variations, but most of the time it didn't matter. You got the full band, and you could just hear every screaming Rocky Top. It almost got to a point where it's almost like you were in an insane asylum because you started singing the song. You were like, hey, if you got to enjoy this, if we're going to be doing this, it was just, you better play along and make the time pass because you just got so tired. And Scott Cochran loved every minute of it. He just would blare it where you couldn't even hear him coaching. And if you can't hear Scott Cochran saying something in the weight room, you know that it's blaring.
So, again, going back to Rocky Block at the end of the 09 game, so you were on the field. Where were you?
Yeah, I was on the left side. We had full block on except for me, and I think Justin Woodall was on the other side covering tight ends because I think they attempted a fake or were thinking about attempting a fake. It looked like they were going to.
Kicker had a hurt leg,
yeah, and we already blocked one in that game. So there was a little, from the coaching standpoint, it's like we got to cover their tight ends in case anybody releases out for a pass. So get a push, but we're not trying to go after it and making sure that we cover. But on the left side, second from the left, man, I'll never forget it. I can remember staring at that football as it's leaving the kicker's foot and seeing Cody. And if Cody doesn't block it, Julio Jones, I've never seen somebody jump that high. That was a 47-inch vertical that day. He would have blocked it as well. It was awesome.
Some fun memories of Tennessee Week from Corey Reamer as we start looking ahead to try and make some new memories coming up this weekend in Knoxville. And with that, it is time for our Wickles Weekend Update, brought to you by Wickles Pickles. They are wickedly delicious. Find out more at wickles.com. Let's see what's coming up on the Crimson Tide Sports Network. Well, next up on Thursday, we will have another edition of Crimson Drive driven by NASCAR. That'll come your way at 2 p.m. right back here on all of our CTSN social media outlets. And then later that night, we will have Hey Coach and the Nick Saban Show live from Baumhauer's Victory Grill in Tuscaloosa. Friday, we'll take the best of all of the programming we've had on the network this week and have the This Week on CTSN podcasts available wherever you get your podcast, including the Varsity Network app. And then it's Alabama at Tennessee. The rivalry renewed coming up on Saturday from Knoxville. Our radio coverage will begin at 11:30 a.m. for the 2:30 p.m. Central kickoff against Tennessee. Sunday, we'll take a look back at the Tennessee game with Coach Saban with his television show as well as Tide TV This Week. And then Monday night, we'll be having the segment you just saw a moment ago, Crimson Tide Rewind. We will have that show with Corey Reamer coming up at 6 p.m. from Baumhauer's Victory Grill in Vestavia Hills. Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR. Experience the energy and excitement of the iconic Daytona 500. Witness history in the making and purchase your tickets today at DaytonaInternationalSuperspeedway.com. It's going to wrap up this Tuesday edition of Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR. Special thank you to Amaris Tyynismaa for joining us, along with Darien Schafer, the CEO of Visit Pensacola, Corey Reamer, of course, with Be Kind, Crimson Tide Rewind, and then our one-on-one conversation with Tyler Steen, plus comments from Alabama head coach Nick Saban. It's been a busy show to begin Tennessee Week, but we're glad that you've spent some time with us here on the network. Thanks to our video producer, Ethan Carabin, for putting all this together. Thanks to all of you for watching. Can't wait to be back with you on Thursday. It's Tennessee Week. It's a special week here in Tuscaloosa, and we hope you can join us again for Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR. Until then, so long and roll.